Okay, so those are tough acts to follow. I would just like to thank everyone for being here also. I've been very fortunate in my life to have very great friends, many of them are here right now, that have become family. Chris was definitely top among them. Chris was my brother, I think in the same way he was your brother. Slightly different way, but I loved him like a brother. He was family to me. We spent very many hours in several corners of this bar, the bar across the street, and other bars. He was always drinking Chardonnay, of course, and not drinking Chardonnay. But Chris was the kindest person, or one of the kindest people I've ever met in my entire life. And he was also one of the best listeners I've ever met in my entire life. He always asked the perfect question, but he asked the perfect question because he was actually listening to what you were saying. And he was hearing it, he was processing it, and he cared about it, and he wanted to be helpful. And that was just a quality that was so amazing and so rare among people, and it was something that he often complained about that it was so rare among people. But even when as Craig mentioned, when you're talking about he stayed for all the credits, yes, that was incredibly annoying, and I wanted to leave. But as Craig mentioned, it was because he wanted to acknowledge and honor the people that did work for the movie. And he was like that in every part of his life. He was like that in work, he was like that with his friends, with his family. He really cared about the people in his life, and he wanted those people to know that. And that was such a blessing for me as a friend of his to be able to experience that. Sometimes, like he made me one year watch RuPaul's Drag Race all season when he worked across the street, and it was that year, I don't know if it's still true, there were half-off bottles of wine on the day RuPaul's Drag Race was on, and then he got half off, so he's about half off. And so each bottle of wine cost about what a drink would cost. So we always thought it was a good idea to order another one because we're sitting here watching RuPaul's Drag Race. I didn't care about RuPaul's Drag Race. He had very strong opinions about who was winning and who was losing. And this person is awful and RuPaul has a crush on her and I don't know, all kinds of stuff. I was just waiting for the commercials because the Absolute Bartender was kind of cute, so I was waiting for that part to come back on. But just sitting there with him and watching his passion for something like that. And then an hour later, he's talking about French history or the time he spent in Paris. Or an hour after that, he's talking about how he likes to pair brandy shots, that we see weird. His interests were so eclectic, but he knew so many things about so many things. It was great to be able to spend time with him. I love going to theater with him because I always learn something. I'm not a musical theater person, but everything I know about it is probably because of him. And just all those kinds of things. We were able to talk about all sorts of different things. It was really fascinating. One of the things that was interesting to me is I was a former seminarian, and when he left across the street, he ended up getting a job with the Archdiocese of Chicago, which is kind of funny because he was openly gay and not Catholic. And so I would get calls all the time. How am I supposed to address this bishop? What am I supposed to say to this person? And I try to help him the best I can. But he also knew that Cardinal Bernardine was a hero of mine. And so when a new archbishop comes to Chicago, they take all the pictures down and put the new pictures up, the new guy, right? So he found at the Chancery downtown this room full of pictures of Cardinal Bernardine. And so he boosted one for me, carried it out of the building, wrapped it up and brought it to my birthday party. And that year we had a birthday dinner at Baker's, and we're gonna go out afterwards, and we're gonna be drinking, of course. So there's this big portrait of Cardinal Bernardine, and he hands it to me, and I open it, and I'm like, okay, so now I'm supposed to go on a bar crawl with Cardinal Bernardine, but it was exactly the kind of thing we would do. We saw that room full of pictures and thought, hey, my friend Sean cared about this person, so I'm now going to steal this picture from my workplace and hand him a cardinal in an Irish bar. So it was exactly the kind of thing he would do, and it was great. I had to have another friend be responsible for it for the evening, so I was able to lose it. And he knew the same thing. But every time I walk into this bar, every time I walk in the bar across the street, even other bars, I used to sometimes drag into dive bars I liked, which he was really not happy about because they never had good Chardonnay. He's like, at least if it's a little bottle, I know they opened it today and not 5 years ago. But every time I walk into a bar, I think of him. And I think of the time, that corner right there is a corner we spend a lot of time in. This corner right up here is a place we spend a lot of time. And the conversations we had, I thought of calling him today. I had a question about something related to this, and I was like, oh, I need to call Chris. Okay, no. I think about him every day, and I miss him very much. And I know that he would be so thrilled to see all of you here today. As was also alluded to earlier, Chris was a convener of people. He loved bringing people together. He loved hosting. He loved entertaining. He loved loving. see all of you here from so many different aspects of Chris's life, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's coworkers and former coworkers. We all loved him, and we all loved him for a reason, and I know that he would be thrilled to have us all here today celebrating his life. So, to that note, we have Chardonnay over there. People are over there. Wouldn't mind helping pass it out, or I don't know how we should work this out. As you all know, anybody that knew Chris knew that he loved his Chardonnay, and he loved the Chardonnay here in particular. And he drank a lot of the Chardonnay here.
Did you guys get one? Need one?
Does everybody have one that wants one? All right, so again, because he loved his Chardonnay and he loved his friends and his family, I think this is an appropriate way to toast him. So to the memory and the blessing that Chris was for all of us, and I also would challenge all of us to carry forward that blessing and that memory every day of our lives with everyone that we